is speed, noise, and constant movement. Stillness is often mistaken for weakness. We're conditioned to believe that if we're not always doing, always achieving, always pushing, we're falling behind. But what if the opposite were true? What if, in this endless chase, we're losing the very thing we seek? Clarity, peace, purpose? The Stoics understood something we've largely forgotten, that stillness is not the absence of action, but the presence of clarity. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, ruled an empire, yet carved out time to sit in silence and reflect. He journaled not to appear wise, but to discipline his mind, to sift through the noise of daily life and reconnect with his principles. He knew that without inner stillness, our actions become reactionary, chaotic, and unrooted. We live in an age of hyperstimulation, notifications, deadlines, updates, opinions. Every second of our day is filled with something. But none of it matters if our minds are scattered. If we can't hear ourselves think, how can we know what truly matters? Stillness is the space where wisdom surfaces. It's where we distinguish the essential from the urgent, the meaningful from the merely loud. It is the choice to pause before we speak, to breathe before we react, to reflect before we decide. The Stoics called this reason aligned with nature, to act not impulsively, but intentionally. Stillness is the space where wisdom surfaces. It's where we distinguish the essential from the urgent, the meaningful from the merely loud. It is the choice to pause before we speak, to breathe before we react, to reflect before we decide. The Stoics called this reason aligned with nature, to act not impulsively, but intentionally. Doing less doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing what matters, deeply and with presence. It means saying no more often, pruning distractions, and focusing our energy like a sharpened blade. It means taking time to journal in the morning instead of scrolling, walking in silence instead of rushing to the next task, and embracing solitude not as loneliness, but as a return to self. Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Much of our stress, our fear, our anxiety, it comes not from what happens to us, but how we choose to respond. And we can't respond well if we're never still long enough to think. The power of doing less is not laziness. It is mastery. It is self-control, mental clarity, and emotional strength. It is understanding that your energy is finite, your time sacred, and your attention the most valuable currency you possess. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, pulled in 10 different directions, ask yourself, what would the Stoics do? They wouldn't hustle harder. They would stop, breathe, reflect, then act calmly, with purpose, and only toward what they could control. Stillness is strength, and in a world that won't stop shouting, your calm will speak loudest.